Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the iFX EXPO International Day 1. We are so excited to welcome you back to our venue here, the Palais de Sport. I'm Tessa Harari from Finance Magnets. I hope you're well and had an excellent evening at the Expo's official welcome party. In the next 2 days, sessions in the Speakers Hall will tackle the most significant changes and opportunities for the industry. We have a lot of great topics and speakers in store for you. The recent plunges in the stock market and the crypto space bring renewed attention to the role of regulators in both allowing and controlling innovation in the market. To start off today, I'm excited to announce our opening keynote with Dr. George Theocharides, the chairman of the CySEC Securities and Exchange Commission. Dr. Theocharides has extensive academic and governmental background and achievements. He served as vice chairman of CySEC and a member of the interim board of Bank of Cyprus and the chairman of the board of the Cyprus Blockchain Technologies Ltd, and held several positions in universities in South Korea, Cyprus, and the US. I'm delighted to invite to the stage Dr. George Theocharides. Let's give him a warm welcome.
So, good morning, everyone. Let me first thank the organizers for inviting me to speak today. I'm delighted to be here today to give you this opening address to the iFX EXPO and welcome you all to Limassol. Okay, so let me start with CySEC and the vision of CySEC. As you all are aware, at CySEC, our vision is to enhance the Cyprus securities markets to make it one of the safest and most reliable investment destinations in Europe and internationally. So we seek to achieve this by fostering trust amongst the firms we regulate and the investors they serve through supervision, innovation, and education. However, the market in which we operate is moving through some of the greatest upheavals that we have seen in recent years. The short-lived post-COVID bounce in the international financial markets has been swiftly halted by the war in Ukraine and concerns about the knock-on effect on commodity prices and logistics chains and international sanctions. Of course, we have also the inflationary pressures, and as you know, the international interest rates are rising once again. So while traditional market fundamentals are being shaken, we have also seen emerging sectors of the financial market face their own problems, whether in CFDs or ETFs or in the crypto space, where the mooted safe haven claims for tokens and laterally the decoupling of the so-called stable coins, namely the Terra USD and the Tether, have led to sharp market falls. With rising retail activity and accessibility, the regulators must be able to respond to the increasing influence of the social media and the online message platforms in trading, particularly to the risks of aggressive marketing practices. So, it's imperative to use all the available resources and technological solutions that are available to ensure that the regulated entities, they remain compliant with the increasing and the data-heavy regulatory requirements and the investor protection processes. So I would like to make first a few introductory remarks on the state of the market we supervise in Cyprus. And this is a graph that highlights basically the growth in the market from 2011 until today. If you look at the graph, you can see that the regulated entities under CySEC back in 2011 were less than 250. Now, if we look at today, the number is more than 800. So we have seen an increase of more than 200% in the last decade, in the increase of the regulated entities. And of course, the markets have changed as well. So first, if you look at the blue color which shows basically the number of the investment firms. The investment firms have increased almost to 250, the number of regulated investment firms, and we divide that sector into two segments. And the first segment, we call it the traditional investment firms, which basically serve institutional or professional clients, and they provide traditional services such as brokerage, asset management, wealth management, and so on. And then we have the other sector, which is 60% of the total number of the investment firms, which are part of the fintech world, which are the digital online trading, mobile trading platforms, where they provide a number of financial products, including speculative products, to the investors on a cross-border basis, to other EU countries and to third countries as well. So this is the market of the investment firms, which has been expanding quite considerably in the last decade, and we expect this growth to continue. Then the other part of the market is which is very important for us, is the fund sector. The fund sector, we have more than 300 entities that are now regulated by us, which are part of the fund sector, which includes fund management companies, and it includes a number of different types of funds. For example, we have the UCITS, which are the funds which provides the traditional asset classes to the investors, and then we have the alternative investment funds. And the majority of the funds in Cyprus belong to the alternative investment funds, which can be alternative investment funds for limited number of persons, or unlimited number of persons, or the registered alternative investment funds. That market also, we have seen significant growth through the efforts of CySEC, but also obviously through the efforts of the government and the efforts of the private sector, which are CIFA, as you know, it's the Cyprus Investment Funds Association, is the organization that promotes the fund sector across Europe and in third countries. So that's a market that we have seen significant growth. The assets under management right now under the fund sector at 11.6 billion. Which a substantial amount of that, 2.5 billion, is actually investments directly into Cyprus entities, Cyprus projects. So that's also a significant point for us. And again, similar to the investment sector, we expect the fund sector to continue growing in the coming years. The other market that we have is the market for fiduciary services, administrative services. Obviously, that's a market that is not only regulated by CySEC, but is also regulated, as you know, by the IPAC, which is the professional body of the accountants, and also the Bar Association, which is a professional body for the lawyers. That market we have seen. And I don't think that's only for Cyprus, I think that's a global phenomenon. We have seen the market for the administrative services to be shrinking in recent times. And obviously we also have under CySEC that we regulate the stock exchange, the Cyprus Stock Exchange, the listed entities under the stock exchange, as well as Cypriot companies that are listed in other international stock exchanges. And finally, one sector that is obviously coming, not only in Cyprus, but to the rest of Europe and in other countries, is the market for the crypto asset service providers. That's a market that Cyprus CySEC is the organization that is responsible for regulating this market for AML purposes. But I will come back to that later. So this is overall a brief overview of the markets that CySEC regulates at this point in time. Now, let me move into the Innovation Hub and the regulatory sandbox that it's under CySEC. So, as part of our mandate, CySEC actively supports new financial technology products, services, and infrastructure projects, particularly those that can help boost the real economy and offer better and less costly services to the investors. The last decade, we have seen the growth of a number of sophisticated technologies, such as artificial intelligence, algorithmic trading, obviously blockchain technologies, machine learning, big data analytics, robo-advisors, and social trading. Now, the prospects and opportunities of these new technologies are indeed enormous, but they need to be monitored carefully to enhance the investor protection, because there are risks relating to the protection of the investors, to money laundering and terrorist financing, and risks around cybersecurity. So, in September of 2008, CySEC established an innovation hub to explore the growth and the uses of fintech developments like blockchain, like DLT, AI tools, virtual digital currencies, crypto exchanges, and RegTech solutions. The Innovation Hub serves as a knowledge-sharing platform for both supervised and non-supervised entities to enhance the understanding about new and evolving financial technologies. It allows for the easy transfer of information around how existing regulation applies to new products or business models, whilst also facilitating the identification of regulatory frameworks and licensing requirements that might need to be established in order to meet evolving needs and ultimately ensure the safety and protection of investors. So ideally, we want to see new innovative products or services before they are launched on the market to see how they respond to existing regulation to protect investors. The Innovation Hub up to now has engaged and consulted with several entities in relation to specific products or business models with a wide range of interest in innovation. Currently, we're in the process of transforming the Innovation Hub into a regulatory sandbox, and we expect to launch it in 2023. Let me just stop and say here that the transformation of the Innovation Hub into a regulatory sandbox is a project that is funded by the RRF, the EU RRF, the Resilience and Recovery Fund. So in this controlled environment, fintech startups and other entities will be able to test their products or services in real conditions under the regulator supervision. It's also worth mentioning the last year that new regulation or European crowdfunding service providers also came into force. Apologies. Okay, let me move on to crypto assets and new EU regulations. Now, while we're committed to encouraging financial innovation, it's also imperative that we balance the adoption of new technologies against the threats that are inherent to innovation and the risks that they can pose to market participants. Money laundering, hacking, and as highlighted in recent weeks, the operational weaknesses of the crypto exchanges themselves are all risks that must be taken very seriously. So as I have mentioned earlier, CySEC is also the competent authority for the crypto asset service providers, which we oversee solely for anti-money laundering purposes. So last year, we have issued a policy statement on the registration and the operations of the crypto asset service providers, the CASPs as we call them, to outline the rules for these under the AML-CFT, the counter-financing terrorist law. Additionally, we issued the CASP registration directive and the directive for the prevention and suppression of money laundering and terrorist financing, which elaborates on the next steps for CASP's and CySEC's expectations. At CySEC, we welcome the developments at the EU level under the MiCA. The MiCA is the Markets in Crypto Assets regulation, which is a regulation that is expected to be in force in Europe in the next couple of years. So MiCA will form part of the EU's digital finance strategy to increase consumer protection, establish clear crypto industry contact, and introduce new licensing requirements. Importantly, these proposals will cover crypto assets that currently fall outside of existing EU financial services legislation, as well as the e-money tokens. In addition, there is a package of legislative proposals on combating money laundering and terrorist financing that is currently under review at the EU level, and it takes into account new and emerging challenges related to technological innovation. A key part of the package is the establishment of a European Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Authority, the AML Authority, and there's a plan to extend existing rules on fund transfer services to crypto asset transactions. These new rules will ensure both the sender and the beneficiary of these transactions are recorded by the crypto asset service providers. Also, under review at the EU level is a proposal for a European regulation on digitalization and operational resilience in the financial sector, which is known as DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, which aims to ensure that all participants in the financial system, they have the necessary safeguards in place to mitigate any cyber attacks and other risks. Let me move on now to new tools and supervision. Now, to ensure that we have the relevant systems and processes in place to meet these new technologies, our efforts are also focused on modernizing CySEC. So the continuous upgrade and the simplification of CySEC's operations and procedures remain a priority, and our vision is to turn Cyprus into one of Europe's safest and most reliable and attractive investment destinations. So particularly to respond to current and future challenges, CySEC is strengthening its ability to monitor and identify bad practices through the adoption of additional tools and the implementation of strategies that enhance our efficiency and effectiveness. We are addressing the need to manage big data with the introduction of sophisticated RegTech systems that use artificial intelligence and cloud computing. These solutions have the capacity to quickly screen data from a large and varied volume of trading activity in order to automatically detect risks and irregularities at an earlier stage and thus take proactive action against them. So as part of this, CySEC is implementing a transaction data processing, storage, and reporting system that is able to generate business insights and can be used to supervise the market entities. This system will connect to the ESMA hub and is able to download and store associated data securely, helping us to support ad hoc queries and generate reports on both the aggregations and base data. This project will be implemented this month. And again, this is a project that is again funded by the RRF, the EU Resilience and Recovery Fund. Other new procedures and methodologies currently underway will enhance our ability to oversee the compliance of regulated entities with regulations such as EMIR, MiFIR, SFTR, which are regulations that relate to the investment firms, by automatically detecting potential risks and irregularities at an early stage. So this project, we call it the data-driven supervision, to be able basically to analyze the large volume of data that we have and guide us in terms of our supervisory practices. This is a project that is ongoing, and again, this is a project funded by the EU DG Reform. Now, given the international and largely web-based nature of the activities of CIFs, a key acquisition that made by CySEC is a specialized system that analyzes and monitors the online marketing materials and the social media activities of the Cyprus investment firms. The system has the ability to detect all related mentions from any source globally, including social media, news sites, forums, blogs, video sites, and ad networks, and it covers 187 languages. In addition, it has the ability to carry out real-time monitoring with an instant alert trigger or on any related keyword combination. So, and I should be clear here that we do not tolerate aggressive marketing behavior or the provision of misleading information to investors or other abusive practices. And those who seek to break the law have no place in Cyprus, because our aim is for a stronger, safer, and most responsible market both in Cyprus and across Europe. Now let me move on to our supervisory practices. So looking back on what CySEC accomplished in 2021, we have carried out more than 300 thematic desk-based inspections. We completed evaluations of all remote audits carried out within 2020. We conducted 18 annual compliance and internal control operation reports and a report on the internal capital adequacy assessment process, the ICAP. The supervision department also monitored the advertising announcements of 27 CIFs. Now, in line with the tough approach we take towards violations of the investment services and activities and regulated markets law and the prevention and suppression of money laundering and terrorist financing law, CySEC last year also imposed fines, and we reached settlements of almost 1 million euros with a number of CIFs. CySEC also suspended the license of 6 CIFs. We revoked the operating license of 4 CIFs and called on more than 80 supervised entities to take specific measures within a certain period of time in order to correct weaknesses and or omissions identified during the supervisory audits. Within 2022, our key priorities include our organizational requirements, the code of conduct rules, and practices that have a negative impact on investors and markets, all of which will enhance investor protection. We will also proceed with mystery shopping program, where we will assess customer acceptance, account opening, and transaction requirements. We also monitor CIF's compliance with the requirements of ICAP, including capital adequacy and their obligation to publish relevant information and other regulation. CySEC expects that regulated entities are ensuring full compliance with their obligations emanating by the MiFID II and MiFIR. Now, turning to our supervision of anti-money laundering regulation, CySEC's AML department in 2021 completed the on-site audits for 60 supervised entities and audited 478 compliance officers' annual reports and internal audit reports. We also carried out audits related to the Cyprus investment program, and at this stage, 75 audits are in progress, and we expect the process to be completed within the coming month. Turning on to education, we place a great emphasis on the financial education of industry professionals to ensure a high standard of service. As you know, since 2015, CySEC has ensured that the key position employees are certified and continuously educated on regulatory issues. So we had the basic exam, we had the advanced exam. In 2020, these requirements were extended to cover the AML compliance officers, and in this year, 2022, new exams will be in place for the providers of the financial information in regulated entities. In conclusion, I would like to stress that financial technology provides enormous opportunity for businesses to increase transparency, reduce costs, and make information more accessible to investors, and in general make the markets more efficient. We are fully committed to supporting these exciting developments. But at the same time, and this is obviously part of our mandate, we're also dedicated to ensuring that these applications are delivered in a prudent and compliant manner and that investors are protected. So in this rapidly changing world, we also continue to contribute at the national, at the EU, and at the global level to give Cyprus a strong voice, and we do that through our continued participation at various decision-making and discussion forums. CySEC's priority remains to make the Cyprus markets a safe and secure place to do business by maintaining high standards of investor protection, investor confidence, and supporting the healthy development of the market with new products and services. And with these thoughts, I would like to thank you all for your kind attention.